So welcome everyone. We're glad to have you today. This is our first training webinar. We'll be having this webinar today, and then if you wanted to invite anyone else from your companies or your plants to join our other training webinars, we'll be having the same webinar again Wednesday of next week and Wednesday the week after at slightly differing times. So if that works better, you're more than welcome to invite anyone else who might benefit from this. We're going to walk through, again, just a general overview, what is a re-architecture, and then I'm going to actually jump into the Idencia system, show you how to use it, and a basic overview, the basic steps of using Idencia. This is being recorded, so we will be posting the recording of this meeting in the next day or so, and you'll receive an email with a link, but it'll also be available on that new Idencia webpage, along with our FAQ, so any updated questions that come out of today we'll be going there. If you do have questions, I encourage you to write them down and save them for the end. We will have an open Q&A session at the end. I don't have much more than 20 minutes of things to say. So the second half of this is really meant to be for questions. You can also send them in the chat over to Damon. He'll be looking at questions for me. You can send them directly to me. I'll be monitoring the chat as well. So all of that will be available for you. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Damon, if you want to just keep a look on the wait room, if anyone comes in and just admit them, that'd be great. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started here by presenting our PowerPoint here. So this is the new Idencia, understanding Idencia's re-architecture, and a little bit of training associated with that today. I can never seem to find the next arrow. All right, so if you were in our initial webinar last week, thank you. This is the same slide from then. I'm just going to go over for everyone who may have missed it. So what is a re-architecture? You can think of a re-architecture as a complete rebuild of a house or different kind of project. So we've started from the ground up with the same foundation for Idencia. To build all of the same functionality, but include some improved reliability and stability, and a new look and feel for the users that's more modern, more friendly, and accommodating to all of the suggestions and requests we get from all of you, the users. We're also going to be able to release things faster from here on out and integrate with more partners and more softwares down the line. You may or may not have seen our email that came out earlier today. We're looking into integrating with both Allplan and Autodesk and their AutoCAD and Revit products. So if you're interested in helping us out with getting to know how the market uses those products and getting some samples, we'd love to hear from you, and you can respond to me for that email later today. That'd be great. Our new system is going to be built on AWS and React Native. And all of that's technical jargon. If you're interested, you probably know what it means. If you're not interested and you don't know what it means, that's totally fine too. So what differences are you going to notice? There's going to be some increased functionality, those general life improvements, being able to change your own password, faster syncing times, faster loading times, less loading screens, and improved version if you have an enterprise account with more than one plant using Idencia. We're going to have an online syncing option for the mobile app, which will also include background syncing, so no more pop-up that means you can't do anything while your mobile app is syncing, and some improved search functionality. We're going to have that new look and feel, like I already said, to modernize both the management portal and the mobile app. And we've eliminated some bugs around syncing, importing, and missing data. On the management portal in specific, you'll see some drawers that we've introduced so that you can see specific details about your products faster, using pop-ups to edit information instead of re-navigating you to an entire new screen, which helps minimize clicks overall. We've also changed the term jobs on your management portal to be the term projects instead, to better match some industry terms, and created universal drop-down lists, which I'll be showing you when we get to the demo. For the mobile app, we've modernized a look to the mobile app. Our knowledge base will now be accessible for any how-to videos or knowledge articles for your mobile app users to have direct access to. It will be clear which steps have been completed throughout the process. You won't be guessing whether or not you've input something or if it's a value that was already there. Larger buttons, higher contrast, and a dark mode will now be available. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump over into our management portal and later show you the mobile app. So let me just get this new share up and going. All right. So everyone now hopefully can see the new version of the management portal. Damon, can you give me like a thumbs up if that's true?
Yeah.
Or anyone would be cool. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Damon. All right. So this is our new version of the Idencia login page. Again, we got a fun little graphic. And you can see that there's a forgot password. This will actually let the user reset their password. This means that users now need to have a real email address in order to log into it at Idencia. So that's one change we've made there for security reasons. When you go ahead and sign in, it is going to bring me to the next screen. And something I want to preface this with, which I did yesterday for a group of people I demoed for, is that some of these screens are going to have slow load times. That is to be expected right now. Because we don't have any users on the system, we haven't ramped or scaled any of our resources that we're consuming. So it intentionally has a slow load time for the low resource consumption so that we can maintain your current systems on the speed that they're currently at. So when I select an organization, let's say I have 2 or 3 plants, I'll be able to select which plant. This will be only accessible for those administrative users. So any mobile app users who are only specifically in one plant, this won't be an option for them. So we're going to go ahead and head into my test site to show you all around. So this is where your dashboard will be. Because this is just a test and you can see we're actually in the staging environment here. No dashboards or reports are available yet. They will be available exactly as they are now with your dashboards on your main page and reports available through a tab. But that's not something we're going to be looking at today. Instead, we'll look at the main functionality of Idencia, and we're going to be starting with the custom properties. So you can see right away the general functionality, look and feel is all very similar to the current version of Idencia, but there will be some changes. So for example, when I add a new property, it will just slide out, that we're calling this a drawer, and give you the availability here, but you'll also still be able to see the background here, which will be helpful if you're creating properties and you don't want to have a duplicate name. So I'll go ahead and call this webinar 1 demo, and this will be a text property here, and I can go ahead and hit save. Once this saves, it'll allow me to create a universal drop-down list in this tab here, which is locked out for a new property. So I can go ahead and hit drop-down list, add a drop-down, and I can name this whatever I would like. So if we're testing drop-downs have been requested for things like your mix number is helpful for maybe your rebar type, maybe your aggregate supplier, and other things like that, which you want to keep consistent over all of your items. But you're not necessarily going to know off the top of your head while you're running a pre-pour or a post-pour, exactly what number rebar that was, exactly what that string of numbers is for your mix. You probably have a nickname that you call it, but to get the data exact, your dropdown will be available here. And this dropdown will live with this custom property, webinar 1 demo, throughout all processes that it's in. So let's say, for example, I have a mix ID that needs to be very specific for my customer, which is a DOT. I can keep that mix ID consistent across all of my pre-pours, all of my post-pours, because that drop-down list will live with that mix number. Whether it's a cast item, anything, that's where it'll be. So that's available for you now, instead of having to recreate that drop-down. It also means when maintaining the drop-down, you only need to maintain it once in the custom property screen instead of in every single individual process it shows up in. Moving into the processes screen, you can see here I have a process called test process. It's very easy to add a process, the same as what you're currently used to. So if I have a test process 2 here, I can also make it available to existing items, show fetuses in any order, or mark it as inactive just as I currently can. And when I create this process, it'll allow me to add steps and phases, again, just like I'm familiar with. So over on my steps and phases section of the drawer, I can add a new phase, which maybe is my default phase. And that will allow me to add here. And we can add a new step. That's our text step that we just created together, where I pick the webinar 1 demo custom property, and I'm allowed to put in any sort of values. Hopefully this makes sense to a lot of you. But if not, we will have all of the same workflows and video demos that we currently have in the new system, all updated to match this UI to walk you through step by step. The other thing I want to show you is our item types. You can see that we're still able to import. That was also true of custom properties, and it will also be true of items themselves as well, so you're not losing any of that CSV import functionality. And you can see here all of our details for our item type as well, even the custom properties. So you can see the weight value here, and all of the basic details of the product itself, or the product type. So all that's available to you. The next thing I'm going to do is jump over into the mobile app. So I'm going to just do a new share here again. And hopefully you can see my mobile app. Yeah, okay. So our mobile app looks like this now. I am in light mode. The light mode, dark mode works depending on what your phone settings are in or your tablet settings are in. So if your whole tablet is dark mode, the Idencia app will match that. I'm doing it in the light mode today because I find that's easier when you're not actively in the sun. If you're in the sun, sometimes dark mode is a lot easier, which is what we wanted to accommodate. The first thing I want to show is that when I hit sync, I am then able to click another button and leave syncing. And if you didn't notice, I had to do that very quickly because the syncing happens very quickly on this new version of the app as well. So that's something that we've updated. We're very conscious of all of the syncing issues that people have had historically, and we want to make sure that that is not an issue that we carry into this new version. You can see it's telling me I'm working online here, which means my syncing is going to be constantly pulling from the background, and it will happen a bit faster than if I were offline. Unfortunately, today I cannot demo the offline version because if I were, then I actually can't share my screen with you because it's all over Bluetooth. So you'll have to take my word for it and try it out yourself when you get access. You have all the same settings here. You can see that I can switch company. So if I wanted to, it would ask me if I wanted to switch my company and give me those same options. This is great, again, if you have several plants or several instances of Idencia, you can easily switch between those. It'll reload all your data and you don't have to log out and log back in. Additionally, all your settings are here. So you can see all the same settings you're used to, with the exception of scanner. All of the scanners in Idencia will be able to be very easily connected in this new version of Idencia by only using the Bluetooth connection on your phone. So instead, you would go into your phone, you'd click your little Bluetooth widget, and that is the only thing you'll need to do to set up your Bluetooth connection. Now, that being said, that does mean that we believe Idencia will be compatible with any HID compliant Bluetooth scanner. Only the scanners we've tested internally, we can guarantee you will work. Obviously, there might be exceptions, but for right now, we can tell you that all of your Zebra scanners will work with all of the Android versions Idencia is compatible with again, including Android versions 12 and above. So everyone who had Bluetooth Zebra scanners that stopped working, we've gone around Zebra, we've taken their SDK out of our app, and we're connecting via Bluetooth only, which is currently not a capability of our mobile app. So that's something to look forward to. You'll see the knowledge base down at the bottom, as well as our notification bell. If any items are rejected, you'll get more clear notifications now. You'll also see this customize home screen button. If I do this, I can reorder the buttons and how I see them on the mobile app. This will be useful as we're planning to expand the number of buttons available, and so you'll be able to choose which four you'd like to see available on that home screen. So I'm going to go ahead and put ship product at the top and auto generate in the middle here, because that's a different order than what we had it on the screen to start with. And you can see we have ship product, then scan tag, auto generate, and view list. It's in the American English reading format. So I'll go ahead and auto generate a product so we can see how that works. And I'll use my demo item type, which we all looked at earlier. I'll confirm that here. And now I have a test phase for this process we're running through. You can see we can capture GPS location. It's automatically collected. It will ask you to use your location the first time the app starts using location. And then you actually have the option to hit this button to change your location. Let's say you start your process in the plant, you walk your product out to the yard or drive your product out to the yard and you want to recapture that location. You're able to hit this button and it'll recapture. Obviously, I'm sitting still, so it is a good thing that my GPS is not changing. You can enter a number value, and you can see here my number value has 2 decimal places, an upper limit of 10 and a lower limit of 10 and an upper limit of 22. So we can see a value like 14.56 would fulfill that, but if it's invalid, it'll tell me so. We have a drop-down list for properties here that we can see. I can easily just select one of those options and it'll fill the little bubble in. I can capture a signature like I normally can with an Idencia. Similarly, I can take a picture. This can either be something that we don't want to do, or we can open our camera or gallery to take a picture here and just select use photo. We can now also crop and zoom in our photos, which is something people have been requesting to better see their defects. So if you want to see your defect really clearly, mark it, you can do that on your pictures now. We can also do a pass-fail step, maybe yes, maybe no. And here I'm doing a demo where you can actually have a fail step that doesn't fail your entire process. You can still have a fail step that will fail your process and force the user to go back and fix it. And then, of course, we can have a number selection of a dropdown as well. You can see here our test process 2 is available as an additional process, and our process we just ran has a check mark next to it, all of which is available just like it was before. And I can go ahead and hit sync. And as this is syncing, obviously it's going to take a second. I took a picture and a signature. And so once this goes ahead, if I click it twice while it's already syncing, it'll say syncing in progress to remind me it's already handling it. And now my sync bar is completed. All right. The last thing I want to do, hold on, I got a lot of screens that just popped up on me. I'm going to share my screen here. The last thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and show you what your item will look like once you're in the management portal. So we can go ahead and look at the item that we just created. As always, you can sort by create date, like you've been able to before. You can also sort by serial number or modified date. And I'm trying to remember what today's date is. Here it is. So here's my item here. You can see the type of item it is. We're still working on filling in this custom property section here. You can see my location on a map. Here's where I'm currently located. We're working on adding the photos as well, but the signatures have been updated so we can pull all of the signatures in as needed. If I were to have any attachments, any PDF documents, any actual text documents, I can upload those here. And then we can also see all of the steps that I completed. We're working on getting the values filled in on this as well. So all of that is available, which is hopefully familiar to you at this point. So that's what I wanted to show you for both the mobile app and the management portal. As you can see, it's definitely a work in progress. I am constantly testing and in communication with our development team daily, if not twice daily. So we have things going back and forth. Our beta testers start next week, so we're confident that we have plenty of time still before you get onboarded to fix those minor things, which you can see on the front end, but on the back end are already fixed and underway. Sorry about that. So the last thing I wanted to address today is migration plans. So again, the migrations will be taking place between June and September at a time that works for you and your plant. Signups will be on a first come, first served basis, and we will email you all when those signups are available. So please keep an eye on your email from the Idencia team. There will be a limited number of customers migrating each week, so that we can provide that one-on-one attention to everyone. The last webinar we had, we got some questions about what if I don't want to migrate all my data? What if I need to update my reports? Will that be available to me? And again, we will address those one-on-one, but the short answer is yes, we're going to accommodate whatever you need while we're migrating your data over. So every piece of data, if we get no requests from you and we just are confirmed by you and the other people working at your plant to proceed as normal, quote unquote, all of your data will be migrated to the new version of Idencia. You'll need to download your new mobile app, and we'll give you the new website URL with your password and login information, which will be different than what your current information is. You can change your password to whatever you would like, though. And there will be training available through workflows and videos, and we will rebuild all of your reports and dashboards in the new version of Idencia, one customer at a time. So please just bear with us through that time of migration. But we do see this happening fairly quickly, certainly during your week of migration. With that, that brings my spiel to an end, just over 20 minutes as I had promised. So now is the time for you all to ask your questions. If you don't feel comfortable asking your questions either out loud right now or in the chat, you can scan this QR form and submit anonymous questions, which I will be answering later and posting on our website the answers for the FAQ page. But that's all I have. So thank you, and I welcome questions.
I had a question on Stephen from WSPcast.
Hi, Steven.
We have a whole pile of Excel sheets linked to the database currently. Are we going to update all those with new data connections?
Yeah, so I think you're the fifth or sixth person to ask. So obviously that is something that we know is definitely needed. Um, I will be following up with you and a whole group of people. Probably we'll send out a bulk email about how that's going to work. It will work. We just don't have details on that right now. But we are figuring that out as we speak. I met with our development team twice about that particular issue today already. Um,
Yep.
so yes, but we're going to figure out how currently. Thank you though. It looks like we have a new question in the chat. A question that came up, does the username need to be an email address? Would disable the new password if not. So in order to get your password in the new version of Idencia, you must receive the email, just like if you were signing up for like an Amazon account, they'll send you your first initial password. And then you can change it from there. So yes, you will need a real email address to log in as your username. I myself have found a couple ways around that where you can use a basic email address and change some things. So that will be included in part of onboarding. If all of your users don't have email addresses they're comfortable using, we can send all of them to one user who's going to be your administrator or something. Yes, it will need to be attached to a receivable email address.
Me again. So when you do this migration, does all the users have to obviously stop using the old one? You migrate everything over and then start using a new one, or how's that going to work? Considering we have people working 24 hours a day.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously 24/7 plants are going to be a bit of a trickier thing to solve for. We are hoping to migrate the vast majority of plants will actually do your data migration over the weekend. So when you come in Monday morning, you'll be starting kind of fresh. But with 24/7 plants, we're going to migrate your data at a time that we communicate with you is good. That's why that one-on-one work between us and you all is going to be so important. And then there is a period of about 1 week where you either can do dual entry on both systems. Obviously, we understand though that's a really heavy lift. And we're pretty confident, we're very confident in the new system. So if you wanted to just jump straight into the new system once your migration has finished, that's totally fine by us. And we'll support you on the new system as soon as possible. There will be a period starting in the middle of May where you'll have access to a trial version of the new architecture so that you can train all your users in some sort of trial sandbox and not need to worry about them learning on the fly with real data with no backup or backup net. And that'll be available mid-May for everyone. So that's something we're hoping to get out. And that's something I'll address in our final webinar is that system once everyone has access, but you'll receive some emails from us about that as well. So we're hoping through training, the trial system, and then the migration, hopefully over the weekend will work for some people. We can really minimize downtime with production.
Yeah, and then I'm assuming you're migrating all our processes over and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
I
All
guess
the
would there be a chance?
processes, items, projects, everything. Yeah.
So would there be a chance once you create all those processes from our old system for us to just run through all of them, maybe the week before? I'm not sure you're doing that, just to make sure that nothing was missed, everything's still going to operate as intended.
Yeah, there will be a period of time where you can run both systems in parallel. And for some customers, if you're working 24/7, we might be able to run your script again. I'm not really sure the logistics of that. But we're gonna again work on it one-on-one with all of you. So the needs of one customer may be different than the needs of another. So in your case, yes, we will be sure to communicate with you and your users and work out all of the issues beforehand. Yeah.
And I guess one other question on that, if we have processes that are, for example, cylinder breaks sometimes,
Mhm.
yeah, we obviously do the fresh concrete testing, then we go back into that process through the 7 to 28 day breaks.
Yep.
So if I do the original concrete test on the old system, we migrate. Will I do my 7 day breaks in the new system, or do I need? Or I'm assuming everything will be there. That yeah,
Yep. Yeah, so all your items will migrate with you. And for all of you who use the Forney Vault integration, that's also going to be available. And we'll set up your Forney Vault integration from day one that you're using the new system as well. So it should be true that that's pretty seamless for your 1, 7, and 28-day breaks between the two systems. It shouldn't matter where you do that as long as your data is available.
so yeah. Any partial processes will be
Yes.
transferred over as well. That you can just
Yeah.
continue working on them in the new system.
Yes, that is the plan. Yeah, great questions.
Jillian, this is Dwight from Mitchell.
Hi, Dwight. How are you?
Good. I just got a quick question. I'm not sure if this is the place to ask it, but um, as you know from our side, we've resisted to use the quality control portion of this
Hmm?
because we said so much difficult right, in the beginning anyway with the volume of panels we have with our the upload and download. Is this system give me an opportunity to maybe use the quality part of this thing of Idencia?
Yeah.
Um, even though with the volume of us scanning like 600 to 1,000 pieces a day?
Yeah, so currently, a lot of the functionality will be the same, although a lot more reliable. So I know that currently there are a couple issues with the multi-scanning of
Yes.
pieces, but you will be able to multi-scan pieces in this new version, and we're hopeful that you'll be very pleased with the improvements we've made there. Obviously, quantity is up to you all to decide what's reasonable and what's not in terms of collecting data and the risk of collecting all of the data and taking that time versus the risk of not having the data. But we're happy to trial anything that you're interested in trialing in terms of adding processes or adding quality control or shipping or whatever that is for anyone else that I'm answering this question to right now. So if that's something you want to consider as we migrate your system over, we're happy to consider that with you and see what that might look like for your operation.
Yeah, we had a small portion with the North Carolina jobs, but that's only a small part of what we do. So
Exactly.
I'd like to get the whole thing because it
Yeah,
worked. But I'm just worried about the volume and the speed issue we had before with because of our multiple scanning. We'd scan 60 or so panels at a time
sure.
to a different process and that. So okay, but yeah, maybe when we get this going, I'll ask you about that and see.
Yeah, sure. Sure. And I do know that we have volume that varies from, 3 to 10 pieces a day, all the way up to 1,000 pieces a day. We have people who are running processes that's literally just setting a status of like approved or like rejected. And we have people who are taking, 12 pictures per process that they run. So it's really what you want to make of the system, and we're happy to guide you along the way.
Okay, all right, thanks.
You're welcome. While there's kind of a lull here, I am going to go forward one slide and then open questions back up. So just so that you all know, there are several people on the team over here who are committed to every step of the way, making sure your migration is running smoothly. Obviously, myself, I'm Jillian. I'm the product owner, so I am the one in constant communication and leadership with our development team, making sure that your voices are heard and taken into consideration when we're building this product and improving upon the product. So you can come to me for any sort of development technical question. Why is this like this kind of question? We've got Damon Edmondson, who's on the call with me today. He's there for your customer support, for your questions where you might preface it with, this might sound dumb. He does not think they're dumb. He is fantastic at his job, and he will help you feel secure in everything that you need to know and do all throughout the way. And Tracy helps oversee both of us in our job. So if there's anything that goes above our head, Tracy might get involved. Tracy Johnson's our COO. She's been here for a really long time, and she was at the NCDOT before that. So we have total faith that she understands your system very well and will be able to kind of put all our heads together and get you that solution that you need. So I'll open it back up for questions, but I want to make sure you all understand that that's who's here for you.
Sorry, Jillian, I have a question on that part. Are we at a point offering 24/7 customer service? Is that an option?
I don't think it's currently an option. I think our hours right now for customer service are closer to 7 to 5 Eastern time. Is that correct, Damon? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
No, that's correct.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so we're able to offer that, but unfortunately, what you see is what you get. So it's just us working. That being said, if something catastrophic does happen, please email us. I know I keep my eye on my email if I'm awake. But if something happens at 2 in the morning, we will get to it, 6:30 the next day when one of us is awake and able to communicate after our first cup of coffee.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.